The night was quiet on Moon Station 7. It was far from Earth, resting on the cold surface of a forgotten moon. Only one person lived there, Toma, a quiet man who worked as an engineer. He kept the machines running, watched the sky, and waited. For the day he would return home. Most nights were the same. He would drink hot tea, check the control panels, and read old books on his screen. But tonight was different. At exactly 2:13 a.m., the alarm rang. "Object entering the atmosphere," said the robotic voice of the system. Toma sat up straight and looked at the radar. A small object was falling fast. It wasn't a rock. It wasn't a supply ship either. The path was strange, like the object had no control. He quickly grabbed his coat and helmet. Outside, the stars were sharp and silent. The moon's ground was dry and full of dust. Toma drove his rover toward the crash signal. A few kilometers away, as he got closer, he saw a soft green light in the distance. His hands gripped the wheel tighter. Finally, he stopped. In front of him was a small, broken pod. It had strange marks, not human. The outside was burnt from entering the moon's thin. Sky smoke rose from one side, and part of the door was open. Toma stepped forward, careful but curious. Inside, he saw her. She was lying still, breathing slowly. Her skin was light gray, almost silver. Her hair was long and white like snow. White. Clothes were torn and covered in dust. She looked young, but not like any human he had ever seen. She had glowing teal eyes half open, watching him with fear. Toma held out his hands. "It's okay," he said gently. "I won't hurt you." The alien girl didn't reply. She tried to sit up, but winced in pain. Her arm was bleeding lightly, and her leg looked hurt too. She didn't speak his language. She only stared at him, breathing quickly. Like a wild animal, unsure of a stranger, Toma slowly took off his helmet, showing his face. He smiled a little and pointed to himself. "Toma," he said. The girl didn't speak, but her eyes followed his hand. He pointed to her. "You?" She blinked. Then weakly, she touched her chest and said, "Lena." Her voice was soft, almost like a whisper. "Lena," Toma repeated. He gave her a calm nod. Carefully, he helped her out of the pod. She didn't resist, though she shook with weakness. Her leg couldn't hold her, so Toma carried her to the rover. Her small frame felt light in his arms, like carrying a wounded bird. On the way back, Lena kept her eyes on the sky, as if worried something was following her. Back at the base, Toma placed her on the medical bed. The system scanned her body. It didn't understand her species, but it gave some readings: low energy, minor wounds, stress, nothing life-threatening. She would survive if she rested and received care. Toma brought her water and simple food. He showed her how to eat it. Lena hesitated, then took a bite. She was hungry. You could see it in the way she quickly finished her portion, but she didn't say much. She watched everything carefully, like she was still deciding if he could be trusted. The room was quiet. The machines hummed softly. Toma sat nearby, typing notes into the system. He had no idea where Lena came from or why she was here. But one thing was clear: she needed help, and he was the only one around. Lena looked at the pictures on the wall. One showed Earth from space. Another showed a small green forest. "You live there?" she asked slowly, pointing to Earth. Toma turned in surprise. Her translator device was working at least a little. "Yes," he said. "That's Earth. My home." Lena nodded slowly. "Looks peaceful." Toma looked at her carefully. "Where's your home?" She didn't answer. Her eyes grew distant, and her shoulders dropped. After a moment, she simply said, "Far." That one word carried pain, and Toma didn't ask again. Over the next few days, Toma helped her heal, cleaned her wounds, gave her warm meals, and taught her simple words in his language. In return, Lena helped with small tasks. She was smart and learned quickly, even though they came from different worlds. Something gentle was growing between them, a quiet understanding. Lena still didn't say much about her past, but she no longer looked afraid when Toma entered the room. She even smiled once when he brought her a strange fruit and made a silly face after eating it. It was small, but for Toma, it was the first sign that maybe she was starting to trust him. Late one evening, as they both sat near the large window looking at the stars, Lena spoke again. "You didn't have to save me," she said quietly. Toma looked at her and gave a small shrug. "Maybe not, but I'm glad I did." Lena turned her eyes back to the stars. "My people, they don't believe in outsiders. They say humans are dangerous." Toma gave a soft laugh. "Some of us are, but some just want peace." At him, eyes shining in the moonlight. "You're different," he smiled. "So are you." In that quiet moment, two souls from different worlds sat side by side, alone in space, but not alone anymore. The days on Moon Station 7 passed slowly, but not like before. Ever since Lena arrived, the outpost felt different to Toma. He was no longer alone. There was now someone else walking the halls, sitting near the window or asking questions. In a soft, curious voice, Lena's body was healing. The burns on her skin had faded and her leg grew stronger. She walked with care, but no longer needed help. Toma gave her one of his spare jackets, which looked a little too big on her, but she wore it every day. The translator on her suit worked better now, though sometimes it made strange sounds. Still, she spoke more each day. Her voice was soft, slow, and careful. She listened closely when Toma explained something and always repeated new words to learn them. One morning, Toma sat at the control desk, fixing a power relay. Sparks flew, and his hand got a small shock. "Oh," he said, shaking his hand. Lena, who was standing nearby, looked surprised. "You okay?" Toma nodded. "Just a small shock. Nothing serious." She walked closer and gently touched his hand. Her fingers were cool and light. "You should. Be careful," she said. Toma smiled. "I will, thanks." They stood quietly for a moment. Then Lena asked, "You fix things every day?" "Mostly," Toma said. "This station is old. It needs a lot of care." Lena looked around at the walls, the machines, the blinking lights. "You live here alone?" "Yes," he said. "For almost 5 years." Lena's eyes were wide. "No friends?" Toma paused. "I had a team once, but they were moved to another post. I chose to stay here." "Why?" she asked. He looked out the window. "I like the quiet. I like space. And maybe I didn't want to say goodbye." Lena nodded slowly. "I understand." As days passed, Lena started helping with small tasks. She cleaned equipment, organized tools, and even learned how to read the system screens. Toma was surprised at how quickly she picked up the symbols and numbers. "You're a fast learner," he said one day. "My people." "We study early," Lena replied. "Learning is important." She didn't talk much about her people, but little pieces came out sometimes. Her world was far away. Her people were gentle and liked light, music, and calm things. They lived in floating cities high above clouds. But something had changed. Something had gone wrong. She didn't say what. Toma didn't push. He could see the sadness in her eyes when she spoke of her home, so he gave her space. He just made sure she had food, warmth, and kindness. One night, a strange sound came from the sky. It was soft, like a whisper. But the signal was clear. Toma checked the radar. Strange energy wave had passed near the moon. Not natural. Not from Earth either. Lena stood behind him, her face pale. "It's them," she said. Toma turned. "Who?" She hesitated, then said, "The ones who chased me." Toma stood still. "They followed you here?" "I don't know," she whispered. "Maybe, but that signal, it's like theirs. Are they looking for you?" I asked. Lena looked at the floor. "Yes, I escaped them. They don't let anyone go." Toma felt something stir inside, something protective. He didn't fully understand her story, but he knew one thing. She was afraid, and she was in danger. "Don't worry," he said firmly. "You're safe here." Lena looked up. "Even if they come, I'll protect you," he said. "I promise." Lena didn't speak, but her eyes filled with quiet emotion. She gave a small nod and turned back to the window. Outside, the stars blinked like tiny eyes in the dark. The next day, Toma showed Lena how to lock down the station. This switch closes the main door, he said. And this one turns off outside lights. If we need to hide, we use these. Lena watched and memorized everything. Toma also gave her a small device. This is a signal jammer. If anything comes close, press this button. It'll block tracking waves for a short time. Lena held it carefully. Why are you helping me so much? Toma smiled. Because I believe everyone deserves to be safe. Lena looked at him quietly. Then she said, most would not help a stranger. I'm not most, he said. That evening they sat together near the observation window. Toma showed her images of earth-green forests, deep oceans, tall cities. Lena stared at the pictures like they were dreams. It's so beautiful, she whispered. Maybe one day you can visit, Toma said. Lena smiled. Maybe. She then showed him a small crystal from her suit. When she held it, it glowed faintly. This holds memories, she said, of my family, my sky, my music. Can I hear it? Toma asked. Lena nodded and touched the crystal. A soft sound filled the room, a gentle melody, like singing wind and water. It was the most peaceful sound Toma had ever heard. It's lovely, he said. It's home, Lena replied. For a moment they both sat silently, listening to the sound of another world. Before sleep, Toma added a note in his journal. She is strong, kind, still afraid, but learning to trust. I don't know why I feel so protective of her, but I do. Maybe it's because she's alone, like me. Or maybe it's something more. Outside the moon base, the stars continued to shine. Somewhere in the dark, others were searching for her, but inside the station for now, there was light, warmth, and something beginning to grow, a silent understanding between two very different souls. The moon outpost was quiet. Something in the air had changed. It had been 2 weeks since Lena crashed near Thomas Station. She was stronger now. Her injuries had almost healed, and she could walk without help. Her voice had become steady, and her eyes, once full of fear, now showed calm and thought. Still, there was something hidden deep in her heart. A shadow. Toma could feel it. Each night after dinner, they sat near the window and looked at the stars. Lena often stared at one part of the sky for a long time. Toma noticed it was always the same spot. One of those stars, she said softly. One night is my home. Do you miss it? Toma asked. Lena nodded slowly. Yes, I miss the sky, the soft light, the songs of the wind. She paused and then added, but I don't miss the fear. Toma looked at her. What happened? Lena. She was quiet for a while, then began to speak slowly. It's like opening a door that had been closed for too long. My people are called Relin. We live in peace. We do not fight. We build with light. We study the stars and grow songs in the air. But one day metal ships came. Cold ships, no faces, no voices. She looked down. They wanted to take everything. Energy, memory, even our minds. My family told me to run. I took a pod and escaped. That pod crashed here. Toma listened carefully. He didn't speak. He just waited. I don't know if anyone else got away, Lena said. Maybe I am the only one left. Toma gently placed a hand on her shoulder. You're not alone now. Lena looked at him, her eyes shining with quiet thanks. Later that week, the system picked up something strange. Toma was running a scan when the screen flashed. A small, unknown object was floating near the moon. It wasn't a rock. It wasn't human-made either. Lena, he called. She came quickly and looked at the screen. Her face turned pale. That is a scout, she said. One of theirs? Toma leaned closer. It's searching. Lena nodded. They scan for memory energy. If they find a trace, they send a signal. Then, others come. Toma stood up. Then we need to hide you. Lena looked at him. No, we need to prepare. They work together all day. Toma showed Lena the outpost's defense system. It was old, but it could be upgraded. They added blockers to stop signals and placed reflectors outside to confuse scanners. Lena used a small tool from her suit. It created energy shields. She placed one near the roof of the station, and it became invisible after a few seconds. Even if they look, they won't see us right away. she said. Toma was impressed. You're full of surprises, Lena smiled for the first time that day. You've already seen only a little. They worked through the night. Toma rewired the signal tower to send false readings. Lena programmed a light net to spread over. The outposts, when they finally rested, both were tired but ready. The next day the object was closer, was scanning the area. Toma and Lena watched the screen in silence. It's trying to find my pod's crash signal, Lena said. Even a small trace could bring them. Is there anything left in the pod? Toma asked. She thought for a moment. Only the base shell. But they might still find something. Toma made a decision. I'm going out there. Lena grabbed his arm. No, it's too dangerous. He looked at her calmly. If I can move the pod's remains far away, they might follow that trail. Instead, she didn't want him to go. She also knew he was right. Then take this, she said, giving him the jammer device. It can block their scan for a short time. Toma nodded. I'll be careful. He drove the rover to the crash site. The land was quiet, but the air felt heavy. The pod lay broken, just as he had found it weeks ago. He worked fast. He lifted parts of the pod and placed them in the rover's trailer. He used the jammer to block the scanning beam coming from above. As he finished, he noticed a small light flashing on the ground, a tiny chip from Lena's suit. It was glowing softly. They might track this, he thought. He placed it in a metal box and closed it tight. Then he drove several kilometers away and dropped the parts into a rocky pit. He threw the chip far into the dark valley. As he drove back, he looked up at the sky. The scout ship was still there, moving slowly toward the false signal now. His plan had worked for now. Back at the base, Lena was waiting when she saw him step inside. Her face lit up. You're safe, she said with relief. Toma smiled. So far? She walked up and placed a hand over his heart. You risked everything for me. You would have done the same, he said. Lena looked at him quietly. Maybe, but I've never known someone like you. Toma looked into her eyes. We're different, Lena, but maybe not as different as we think. That night, the stars above seemed quieter. The scout ship floated away, tricked by the false signal. Toma and Lena knew more would come. Still, something had changed between them. They were no longer just survivor and protector. They were becoming a team, two hearts. From two worlds, learning to trust, to care, and to stand side by side, and whatever shadows came next, they would face them together. After the scout ship disappeared, Toma and Lena felt a little safer. The false signal had worked. The enemy followed the trail away from the moon. But they both knew the danger wasn't over. They will return, Lena said quietly. Toma nodded. I know, but next time, we'll be ready. Every day after that, they worked harder. They repaired the shield grid, added new codes to the station's doors, and trained for emergencies. Toma had never prepared for battle before. Engineer, not a soldier. But now he had a reason to be strong, Lena. She had become more than a guest. She was now part of the station, part of his life. One morning, Toma stood by the window, looking at the stars. Lena walked up beside him. You're thinking again? She said. He smiled. I think a lot. What about today? About you? She tilted her head slightly. Me. Toma looked at her gently. Your ship crashed. You almost died. Now you're on a lonely moon with a stranger. And yet, you help me every day. You don't complain. You don't give up. Lena smiled. Maybe I stayed because you helped me when no one else did. They stood in silence for a moment. Then Toma said, The universe is big. I never thought I'd meet someone like you. Lena turned to him. I never thought I'd trust a human. That day, they made a plan for what would happen if another enemy ship arrived. Toma showed Lena the underground storage room where they could hide. Lena adjusted the outpost's power core to release a pulse blast if needed. Where did you learn all this? Toma asked. I was a light reader, she said. It's like your engineers, but we work with energy and memory. That explains it, he said. You're smarter than me. Lena gave a soft laugh. No, I just see the world in a different way, Toma nodded. That's what makes you special. Later that night, they sat by the table, eating dinner. Toma had made soup, and though the taste was simple, Lena liked it. Earth food is warm, she said. It feels like home even. If it's not, I can cook something different tomorrow, Toma offered. No, she said with a smile. This is perfect. After eating, they listened to her memory crystal again. The soft sound of wind and song filled the room. Toma closed his eyes. He could almost picture her world-floating cities, gentle skies, peaceful people. Lena watched. Him? You like it? It's beautiful, he said. She held the crystal in her hand. I thought I lost everything. But maybe I still have something left. Toma looked at her. You have me. Her eyes met his. In that moment, no words were needed. The next morning, the radar beeped. Toma rushed to the control screen. A ship was entering the moon's orbit. It's too soon, Lena said. They must have found something. Toma checked the signal. It's larger than the Scout. Could be a search vessel. Lena's face turned serious. If they land, they won't ask questions. They'll search everything. Toma stood tall. Then we don't let them. They locked down the outposts. Lena activated the shields. Toma powered up the defense panels. Old but still strong. They wore light suits for protection and carried tools that could be used in emergencies. They had no weapons, but they had each other. As the ship drew closer, the outpost lights dimmed. They didn't want to be seen. Lena stood by the door, her hand ready on the control panel. Toma checked the outside cameras. They're scanning the surface, he said. They're looking for your energy signal. I can block it for a while, Lena said, but not forever. Toma looked at her. You said your people use memory energy. Can you hide that part of yourself? Lena nodded slowly. Yes, but it will make me weak. Toma frowned. Then don't do it. She shook her head. If I don't, they'll find me. I'll be fine. She sat on the floor and closed her eyes. Soft glow covered her body, then faded. The energy in the room dropped as if something quiet had gone missing. Toma knelt beside her. Are you okay? She opened her eyes. Tired, but I can hold it. The ship above moved slowly across the sky, scanning with a deep blue light. The sensors buzzed, then stopped. Toma held his breath. Then, silence. The ship turned and slowly left orbit. They didn't find us, Toma said, exhaling against the wall. That was close. Toma helped her stand. Let's not do that again. Lena smiled faintly. Agreed. That night, after the ship was gone, they sat together under the starlight. Toma wrapped a blanket around her shoulders. You saved us. You saved me first, she replied. He looked at her. Keep saving each other. Lena leaned her head against his shoulder. Then maybe we're stronger together. Toma placed his hand over hers. We are. Outside, the stars twinkled gently. The danger had passed for now. But something stronger had formed between them. Not just friendship. Not just trust, eh? Bond. They didn't speak again that night. They didn't have to. Sometimes the heart says everything without words. The sky above Moon Station 7 was quiet again, but Toma and Lena knew the peace would not last. 2 enemy ships had already come close. Sooner or later, more would come. Still, they used every moment to prepare. Toma upgraded the solar panels to charge faster. Lena placed small sensor stones made from her own tech around the station. These stones could detect energy from very far away. Together, they trained with tools and made quick escape plans every night. They looked at the stars and hoped they would be left alone. But one morning, everything changed. It started with a strange sound. A sharp pulse echoed through the station. The floor lights flickered. Toma jumped out of bed and ran to the control room. Lena, he called, come here. Something's wrong. Lena was already on her way. I felt it, a wave. Toma pointed to the screen. Something big is entering. Orbit. The radar flashed red. It wasn't a scout or a search ship. It was larger, stronger, a warship. Lena's face turned pale. They found me. Toma didn't waste time. We locked down the station. Full defense mode. Yes, Lena said quickly. I'll start the shields. They moved fast. Lights turned dim. Walls thickened. Doors locked tight. Outside, dust blew across the ground as the enemy ship lowered. From the control screen, Toma saw dark machines falling from the ship round. Spider-like bots with scanning eyes. They've sent drones, he said. They're searching for memory energy, Lena replied. If they sense me, they will attack. Toma looked at her. Hide in the storage room. I'll keep them away. No, she said, holding his arm. We face this together. Toma hesitated, then nodded. Okay, together. The drones moved fast. One landed near the solar tower. Another rolled close to the old satellite dish. Toma watched their paths on the screen. They're looking for heat. Light. Life, he said. Lena pointed to a blinking light. That one is close. Toma checked the map. We can trap it. Follow me. They went to the east hall. Toma opened a vent and placed a heat decoy inside. Then he turned on a fan to guide the drone toward it. A few minutes later, the drone entered the hallway.
Ow.
Its red eye scanned the floor, moved forward slowly. Following the fake heat trail, then Boom had entered the vent and got stuck. Lena quickly pressed a button. The vent sealed shut. One down, she said. But more are coming, Toma added. We have to stop them before they get inside. Outside, 3 more drones dropped onto the moon's surface. One of them began to drill into the ground near the old supply hatch. They're trying to break in, Toma said. I have an idea, Lena replied. She ran to the roof access and climbed up, holding one of her light tools. Toma followed closely behind. From the top of the outpost, they could see the glowing eyes of the machines. Cover your eyes, Lena said. She pressed the tool. A bright flash of soft blue light burst out, spreading in a wide circle. The drones stopped moving. They twitched, confused. Toma stared in amazement. What did you do? It's a calm wave, she explained. It makes machines stop and think, but only for a short time. Then let's use that time wisely, Toma said. They climbed down and set more traps. Toma placed magnetic pulses. In the sand, Lena hid signal blockers behind rocks. Each trap was simple, but together they made a strong line of defense. Then they waited. An hour later, the calm wave ended. The drones came back to life and they were angry. They moved faster, now breaking through rocks, pushing over equipment. One slammed into the outer wall. Another found the old vent and tried to force its way in. Shields at 70%, Toma said. We can't hold forever. Lena stood by the control panel. Her hand shook slightly. I can stop them, she said quietly. Toma looked at her. How? Can release my energy, she said. The part I've been hiding. It will shine like a star. It will burn the machines. But you'll be weak, he said. You said it could hurt you. I know, she replied. But I won't let them hurt you, Toma. Stepped closer. Lena, you don't have to do this. She looked into his eyes. You saved me. You gave me hope again. I want to protect you too. He took her hand. Then we do it your way, but together. They walked to the center of the main hall. Lena stood still and closed her eyes. Her body began to glow first softly, then brighter and brighter. The light was gentle but powerful, like the rising sun. Toma felt warmth in the air. Outside, the drones stopped. Their red eyes blinked. Then, they began to spark. One by one they collapsed, their parts shaking, their energy fading. The sky above flashed as the warship pulled away. It had lost its link to the machines. It could no longer track Lena. The threat was gone. But Lena fell to her knees. Toma rushed forward and caught her before she hit the floor. Lena, he said, his voice full of worry. Her eyes opened slowly. I'm okay, she whispered, just tired. You did it, he said softly. You saved us. She gave a faint smile. We saved each other. Again. That night, the stars above the station seemed brighter. Toma stayed by Lena's side while she rested. He watched over her, made sure she drank water, and kept her warm. He realized something deep inside his heart, something he'd been feeling for a while but hadn't said aloud. He cared for her, not just as a protector or a friend, but as someone who had become part of his world, part of his heart. As Lena slept peacefully beside him, he whispered, "You're not just a guest here. Lena, this is your home now, with me." Outside, the moon was quiet again, but inside the outpost, something strong had taken root. Not fear, not silence, but something like love. Moon Station 7 was quiet again. After the battle with the machines, the station needed repairs. Broken panels, damaged wires, and cracked lights all needed fixing. Toma worked through the day, his hands busy, but his thoughts were with Lena. She was resting in the sleeping room, still weak from using her energy to save them both. That light she released, it had destroyed the enemy drones and forced the warship to leave. But it had also taken much of her strength. Toma checked on her every hour. Sometimes she was asleep. Other times, she smiled softly when she saw him. "Always here," she whispered once. "I'll always be here," he replied. After 2 days, Lena was able to sit up and walk slowly.
Oh.
Her energy was coming back, but her body was still healing. Tama made warm tea and gave her soft food. He fixed the lights in the main room so they could sit together and watch the stars again. One evening, he sat quietly near the large window. The stars were calm, shining over the moon's surface. Outpost lights were soft and everything felt peaceful for the first time in weeks. Lena looked at Toma. "Do you miss Earth?" He thought for a moment. "Sometimes. I miss green trees and the sound of rain." She nodded. "It sounds beautiful." Toma smiled. "What about you? Do you miss your home?" Lena looked out at the stars. "Every day, but I think I've found something here too." Toma turned to her, curious. "What do you mean?" She looked at him, her voice gentle. "I thought I had lost everything. My home, my people, my purpose. But then I met you, Tomas." Heart beat a little faster. "You cared for me when I was a stranger. You gave me food, warmth, safety. You taught me your language. You listened. You never asked for anything in return." Toma lowered his gaze. "You would have done the same." "Maybe," Lena said, "but not many would risk their lives for someone they didn't know." There was silence again. It's not an awkward silence, but a warm, quiet one. Toma looked up. "Lena, when you first arrived, I just wanted to help. But over time, I started to feel something more." Lena's eyes met his. "So did I." That night, they sat closer than before. Their shoulders touched, and their hands rested side by side. There was no need to say more. Sometimes, feelings grow in silence between shared meals, between repairs, between the stars. Over the next few days, the outpost returned to normal. Toma fixed the final damage to the power lines. Lena recharged her crystal and used it to improve the station's sensors. Together, they worked like a perfect team, understanding each other without too many words. They also laughed more. Lena once tried to cook using earth food. The soup turned out too thick, and they both laughed when it stuck to the spoon like glue. "It's very strong," Lena said, pretending to chew forever. "It's a new kind of food," Toma joked. "We'll call it space pudding." They both laughed again, their hearts light. One afternoon, as they sat on the roof of the outpost watching the stars rise, Lena asked, "What happens next?" Toma looked at her. "What do you mean? Do you go back to Earth? Will I go look for my people?" He thought for a long time. "I don't know. I used to want to leave this station, go back home, find something new. But now, I feel like I've already found it." Lena tilted her head. "Found what?" Toma smiled. "A reason to stay." Lena's eyes softened. She looked at the stars, then back. The stars above Moon Station 7 glowed gently. The danger had passed, the machines were gone, and peace had returned to the quiet little outpost. But something inside Toma and Lena changed forever. What began as rescue had become something. More trust, friendship, and something even deeper that neither of them had planned. One morning, the outpost's long-range communicator blinked. Toma stepped toward the control screen. The message came from Earth Command. Receiving your reports. Moon Station 7. Status confirmed. Rescue ship en route. Arrival, 3 days. Toma read the message again and again. He had sent reports weeks ago, asking for help and explaining the strange crash and the enemy machines. He hadn't expected an answer so soon. Lena stood behind him. Is someone coming? He turned and nodded. It's a rescue ship. They're coming here. Her expression was unreadable. They will want to take me, she said softly. Study me. Ask questions. Maybe not trust me. Toma stepped closer. You're not a problem, Lena. You're not a test. You're someone who saved this station and... Me. She gave a small smile. But they don't know that. We'll tell them, Toma said. Together. The next 2 days passed quietly, but not without thought. Lena spent time near the window, looking at the stars. Toma kept busy fixing the last broken panel, trying to keep his hands moving. But both of them were thinking the same thing. What happens when the ship arrives? Would she leave? Would they take her away? Would this peaceful life they built disappear? That night, Lena sat beside Toma, holding her crystal of memories. Before I met you, she said, I was ready to hide. Forever. I thought my life was over. Toma looked at her gently. But you kept going. You were brave. She smiled, only because someone believed in me. They sat silently, hand in hand, listening to the quiet hum of the station. On the 3rd day, the rescue ship came into view. A sleek silver shape, with Earth's blue symbol on the side, slowly landed outside the outpost. Toma and Lena stood by the entrance as the doors opened, and 3 humans in clean suits stepped out. One of them, a kind-looking woman with short, dark hair, smiled at Toma. Engineer Toma, we read your reports. Came as fast as we could. Thank you, Toma said, stepping aside. This is Lena. She's the one I told you about. The team looked at her with surprise but didn't act. With fear. They were calm, respectful. Lena bowed her head politely. Hello? The woman looked amazed. You understand us? She does, Toma said. She speaks. She learns fast. She saved my life, Lena added softly, and Toma saved mine. Team scanned the area, checked the destroyed machines, and studied the damaged outer wall. Everything Toma had reported was true. The threat had been real, and Lena had fought to stop it. Later, the lead officer asked, Lena, do you want to? Come with us to Earth. Lena looked at Toma, then back at the officer. Can I choose? Of course, the woman said. You are not a prisoner. You are free. Lena nodded. She turned to Toma. What would happen if I stayed? Toma was quiet for a moment, then said, Then you and I would keep building this station, together as a team. Lena's eyes softened. And if I went to Earth, then I'd miss you, he said honestly. But I'd understand. She took a deep breath. I choose to stay. The rescue team was surprised but accepted her choice. She's welcome to send messages any time, the woman said. And if she ever wants to visit Earth, we'll help. Before they left, they gave Toma new supplies, stronger shield upgrades, and communication tools. Then, the ship rose into the sky and disappeared into the stars. Toma and Lena stood side by side, watching it vanish. You really chose to stay, Toma said. I did, she replied. Why? Lena looked at him. 'Cause home is not always where you are born. Sometimes home is the person who made you feel safe. Toma smiled. I'm glad you stayed. Life returned to normal, but it didn't feel lonely anymore. Toma and Lena shared the duties of the outpost, fixing machines, growing food, upgrading systems. They planted a small garden inside the station, full of green leaves and glowing flowers Lena created from her own knowledge. They wrote messages to Earth and even sent music recordings from Lena's crystal. People on Earth became curious, then amazed. Soon, scientists and peace leaders sent kind messages to Lena, promising friendship and respect. Lena was no longer a lost alien. She had become a bridge between 2 worlds, One evening, Toma took her hand as they stood under the stars. "You changed my life, Lena," she smiled and said, "and you gave me a new one." They watched the stars in silence, hearts full of peace. For the first time in a long time, there was no fear, no worry. Loneliness, just hope and something more. Not just survival, not just friendship, but love, quiet, strong, and true.